The Z Fold 5 front screen is unusable. Say it isn't so. It's not. So this is actually a teachable moment. It's an opportunity to have some discussion on this. I've seen this in quite a few comments, and I've talked to some other friends or reviewers who are seeing the same thing. People are saying that the front screen on our little old buddy, the Z Fold 5, is unusable. And I'm going to show you in this video that's not true. It's not unusable at all. And it's funny because there's a certain philosophy with the way that Samsung builds this phone. I'm not making excuses for them. I do wish it were a little bit wider, especially having used the Google Pixel Fold and realizing how nice the front screen can be. But yeah, this is the main screen. A lot of people don't understand that, and I didn't realize it until I was reading some of the PR materials for the last press release for the Z Fold 5, and they specifically called the interior screen the front screen. I mean, the main screen. And it's just so counterintuitive because at first glance, whenever you fire it up, this is what you get right here. The front screen. And so I always think, and we always think, that the very first thing we see, the front screen, is the main screen. And it's really not. The interior screen is not secondary. So that means that you're encouraged to use this screen on the inside. And it makes a lot of sense intuitively when you look at the front, because the front, no, it's not the greatest for doing everything. Do you want to play Fortnite on the front? No, you don't want to play Fortnite on the front. Do you want to watch Netflix on the front? No, probably not. Do you want to watch YouTube on the front? Not really. I mean, you can, because there's different ways to watch YouTube. A lot of people will just play it and listen to it, and you can kind of see it's in windowed mode. But by and large, the front screen is a secondary screen. It's for like notifications. It's for doing things at a glance. It's for quickly looking at and replying to like a tweet, or quickly replying to a text message, or things like that. And of course, you can use it long term. And I was very guilty of that. Like for the longest time, I kind of had to get myself in the habit of opening it because I would just be lazy and sit there and use the front screen. And then you're like, okay, I need to quit using the front screen. I'm complaining about this because, yeah, I'm using the front screen too much. But after you start using the inside screen, which is the whole point of getting this phone, like if you're not using the front screen, I mean the interior screen, what's the point of having it, right? Like if all you do is every time you use it, you're like, oh, I'll just use everything on the front screen. It's right there. I don't have time to open it up. I'm not going to use the interior screen. Then you're depriving yourself of the enjoyment of the purpose of this device, which I will say that. So it's just funny to me. And another thing that I hear this a lot. It's too heavy. It's too heavy. It's 253 grams. I'm going to do a little bit of math here, which I really don't like doing in public, but 253 grams is what this phone weighs. How many grams are there in a pound? 454. So we're at just over slightly half a pound, right? Because if 253 times 2 is like what? 506? So yeah, we're just over a half a pound. Let me ask you another question. Do you know how much the iPhone Pro Max weighs? I mean, you can go out and you can Google this real quick, but I'll tell you, it's 240 grams. 13 grams difference between this and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I think a lot of people do find heavy. I find it heavy. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to carry it. But one of the things is, whenever it comes to this phone, it feels more dense when it's like this because it's basically two phones stacked on top of each other. But as soon as you open it up, it feels lighter. It feels balanced. You're like, wow, it feels so much lighter. So yes, it does feel more dense when you're holding it this way, but even when you're holding it, regardless of what configuration, we're talking 13 grams. So we just did some basic math, right? So there's 454 grams in a pound. So if we say there's a 13 gram difference, let's say there's a 10 gram difference. Well, that would be basically 1/45th of a pound. Is your hand even so finely calibrated that you can even tell the difference between 10 grams? Most likely not. So I don't think the phone's too heavy. But the big benefit you get out of this, could you imagine if Apple made an iPhone that was this size? The sucker would weigh a pound because they're like obsessed with making the bodies on the Pro models out of like stainless steel. They want the phone to feel heavy in the hand. That's a design choice that they do because usually heft and weight is associated with premium. And Apple is all about all these aesthetics and kinetics and all these things you can and cannot feel, the intangibles. It makes their phone feel more valuable. Of course, you can also use it as a blunt force object if you need to defend yourself in a dark alley. But I mean, in reality, 13 grams difference between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and this. And I actually said before, I have said that the iPhone 14 Pro Max or 13 Pro Max is heavy on Twitter. And people jumped on me and they're like, oh, quit being a wuss, quit being a sissy. How are you complaining this phone is too heavy? It's not too heavy. Okay. But then you see them in the same video, you see them going, oh, the fold is too heavy. It's 13 grams difference, guys. So I think with what Samsung has done here, that they've done some pretty remarkable stuff. I mean, just 5 years ago, not even, could be. I was talking with someone about this the other day. We're on the 5th generation of foldables, but foldables have been out for actually, what, like less than 4 years? Because the development cycle is faster than the chronological years that we have. So we're on like maybe 4 years now of foldable phones. Just imagine, like, we thought this stuff was wizardry 3 or 4 years ago, and now we're like, oh, it's too heavy. The front screen's unusable. Okay. It's not unusable at all. And you've seen throughout this video that the front screen is not unusable. I mean, we'll go back and look at it right here. It's very easy to do a lot of stuff. And the thing is Samsung is actually, there's a lot of apps that are very well optimized with One UI that take advantage of the full screen experience or take advantage of the small screen experience with the app scaling. So you can do whatever you need to do on this phone, whether it's on the front screen or the inside screen. And that's one thing I love about the front screen experience. If I want to open Boom Beach, sure I can. Am I going to? No, because it's not a very good experience. But the choice is yours. And if they made a very limited front screen where you couldn't do as much stuff on it, then we'd be sitting here complaining, oh, you can't do everything you want on the front screen. Although you would still call it unusable. You couldn't do everything you want on the front screen. So I do appreciate that Samsung allows you to basically do whatever you want on the front screen. I do appreciate that most apps are optimized for it. And I do appreciate that most apps are optimized for the inside. I mean, it's taken a little ways to get there. And sometimes you might in the past have had to use good lock and things like that to get a better experience, which I don't use. I refuse to use it on my phone. I use it how it's intended, how it's designed. I don't use good lock. I only use it on my Z Flip 5 because that's basically the only way you can get apps to work on the front screen. But yeah, I think that this is a great phone. I think that they've done a lot of good things about this. I think they've been very pioneering with this. And to hear people say, look, the front screen is unusable, it's just crazy to me. Like, it's just complete. I see it, and I made a tweet about it the other day, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a video about this because I think it's absurd to hear that argument unusable. And I don't think people know what unusable means, right? Like, unusable means you cannot use it in the purest sense of the definition. And quite frankly, nobody believes that. Nobody who says it's unusable believes that. Now, is it ideal? Is it your preference? No. I mean, is it as nice to use on the front screen as this guy right here? No, it's not. But they're designed completely different. Two different completely designed choices. And that's what they are, design choices. It's not good, bad, or different one or the other. It's just how they decide they want to make their phone. So that's all I got in this video. I just wanted to talk about that, have an educational moment, and be like, look, they're not unusable. They're actually quite usable. And in some situations can be enjoyable to use. It just depends on how you're using it, how you do your flow, and what you want to do with your phone. And the great thing is, you have options. And remember, this is the main screen. So that's all I've got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please, of course, go to the comment section. I'd love to hear from you after this video. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, of course, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.